And I actually found the exact presets and exact sample libraries I was using for these types of samples. And this is a big secret too, because it'll fix the entire sample, and a lot of people don't do this, so alright, what's going on, everybody? Today I'm gonna go over how Wheezy, the producer, also known as Wheezy Outta Here, makes his Asian, Japanese and Chinese influenced beats. Songs like Who You Foolin' by Gunna and Prospect by Ian Dior, to name a few. The video is gonna be broken down in 4 parts. First, Wheezy's go-to kontakt libraries for these types of beats, how Wheezy finds and manipulates his samples, how Wheezy layers his melodies to make them more interesting, and finally how he makes and mixes his drum patterns, as well as some quick arrangement tips. By the way, if you want any of the drum sounds or samples that I use in this tutorial, there's a link in the description where you can download them completely free. For these types of beats, you can't really find sounds like this in like your typical Omnisphere and Electra, Nexus, Purity. The only way you're really going to get the sound that you're looking for these types of beats is through kontakt. So basically, I went through all the different Asian style libraries that fit this style of beats, and I actually found the exact presets and exact sample libraries I was using for these types of samples. So his go-to kontakt libraries are the Sonica series. They make sounds specifically for these types of beats. Some of his go-to presets in these libraries are in the string koto section. This preset called Picking Thumb. This is actually the preset that was used in Prospect by Ian Dior. So as you can hear, that's the exact preset. He doesn't do any mixing with these presets. The only thing he does is he sets the scale to chromatic, because by default they're on some weird Asian scale that doesn't fit. And you always want to set it to chromatic if you're going to use these presets. Yeah, and that's basically it. You can just experiment with these presets. I'm really going to be going over and making a beat with a sample today. So I literally just looked up Chinese music and I took the very first result that came up. I really like the way this sounds, so I'm just going to use that. Yeah, so I'm just going to use that, and I'm going to quickly put this in FL. So because the sample is on time, the way we're going to fix this is what we're going to do is we're going to chop all the points where the sample isn't on time, and we're going to rearrange them. And basically we're going to make the sample overlap, but we're going to fix that with gross beat. So bear with me, I'll show you what I'm going to do. As you can see here, this is when the next bar should be transitioning in the sample. But as you can see, it's not aligned here. So basically what we're going to do to fix that is we're just going to go ahead and align it. Okay, now that everything's aligned, I'm basically just going to record this to make it all one clip to make it a little bit neater. Okay, so I basically recorded an Edison as well as made a few off-camera tweaks to the sample just to make it a little bit more aligned. So there are points in the sample where it's going to be clicking basically a lot, and it's going to be a lot of gaps and unalignments because we chopped the sample not necessarily perfectly. So as you can listen here, so we want to get rid of that. So what we're going to do is use gross beat to basically fix the entire sample. And this is a big secret too, because it'll fix the entire sample, and a lot of people don't do this. So okay, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open gross beat, and you're going to want to put a point right here by right clicking, and basically you want to go a single curve and drag it all the way to here, and then you want to put another point up here, drag this down to the same level. And what this is basically, this is a different version of the slow triplet preset. It's like a slow double basically. So what this is going to do is it's basically going to overlap the certain points of clicking the samples, because it's not going to play it in the first place in the gross beat. This is also going to give it more rhythm as well, because it's basically going to be slicing the beat at the half of each bar, as you can see here. So with that, it sounds like this. So as you can hear, it also pitches down the sample a little bit. I also pitch it up by 1 semitone, just because I like the way it sounded. Okay, so step 3, try and copy the melody in the sample so I can layer some more sounds on it to make it sound more full. Okay, so fast forward, what I basically did was I just took a basic piano preset out of Omnisphere, and I just basically copied the entire melody by ear as best as I could, so I could copy and paste it and layer it over other sounds just to make everything sound more full. So this by itself will just sound like this. So apart from adding like an RC20 to make it sound like it's also a sample, I just took the same effects and I just dragged each one over and basically copied them from the sample and put them on the piano. And there's one more preset I used. I just took the same melody and put it over this D March ARP preset, so it just sits in the background and just makes it sound a little more full, but it doesn't like take over the melody itself or change anything. So that sounds like this. Alright, so you get the idea. And so it's a super basic ARP, and the reason it works so well with this melody is it follows the same vibe, like the ambience and the softness of the melody. It doesn't overtake it, and that's something you need to do when you're layering sounds, is you don't want to choose a preset that's like obnoxious, has a crap ton of rhythm to it, and just ruins the sample altogether. You want to choose things that sit in the background like this. Alright, so the last step is the drums. People overcomplicate what you need to do with the drums. Apart from EQing your master, like, there's nothing you really need to do except just turn the levels up. And with the drums, the thing you want to do with these types of beats is you want to make sure the drum pattern matches the style and the sound of the sample that you're using. So this is super melodic and super soft, so we don't want our drums going crazy. We don't want to be doing like hi-hat rolls like Southside and Pyrex. You know, you want super simple, and you just want to like sit in the background and not change the rhythm too much. So I just made this simple two-step pattern. Literally as basic as it gets. And as for mixing, the only thing I did was put this little reverb on the hi-hat, but apart from that and EQing it a little bit, I didn't really do anything else. Okay, and the last thing for the drums and the entire beat itself is the 808. If you've seen in his videos, or if you've listened to him making beats on Instagram, you can see that he uses this exact preset, and the only thing he really does to it is he turns the velocity all the way up, and he doesn't really touch the levels or EQ it anyway. So what I did was I just made this basic 808 pattern, just copy and pasted the melody MIDI that we made, and I just followed the root note. This is what it sounds like. Super basic, nothing crazy. So when you're arranging these types of beats, just keep it simple, like don't overdo it. You don't want to add like crazy transitions or anything, especially with a beat like this, you know? You want to be able to relax while listening to it because it's a relaxing beat. It's not like some trap, you know?
This is a certified hood classic.
Yeah, and that's all I'm gonna do for arranging it. Yeah, and if you really want to overdo it and you're really trying to replicate exactly what Wheezy does, the last preset that you can also add as an effect is this Dance Girl Vox. He uses in like all his beats just in the background, kind of like a riser, like a bell. And of course, last but not least is Tag. And yeah, that's basically it. Once again, all the drums and samples that I used in this beat, just go in the description, you'll be able to find them down there. If you have any ideas for videos or potentially advice considering that this is my first tutorial, please let me know. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe, and peace.